All right, everybody, welcome back to the Move Podcast. Talking about the Tour of Italy's first week. Today's show brought to you by Dry Farm Wines. As many of you know, wine is an ancient fermented drink. First, I love this. First enjoyed over 8,000 years ago. Wow. But the majority of wines today are not like this, right? There's the allowed amount of additives in traditional wine is pretty mind-blowing. Dry Farm Wines has revolutionized natural wine, sugar-free, slightly lower in alcohol, organically and biodynamically grown, and additive-free. I'm not telling you, I've hit some of this stuff. You feel different. We all know what we feel like after a night of drinking traditional wine. It's totally different. They're onto something. Also doing a cool package with us. Special Italian box with biodynamic wines specifically sourced from Italy for, obviously, the Tour of Italy. We're doing another one in France. And then at the end of the year, we'll do another one for the Tour of Spain. Get all the details at dryfarmwines.com/wedo. Pick up your Italian box of biodynamic wine. Today, our show brought to you by LMNT. You guys hear me talk about it all the time. I've been hammering. It's finally warming up here in Aspen. And I'm actually sweating again. Just sweating my face off. Did a big ride yesterday with Valtteri Bottas and his longtime girlfriend, Tiffany Cromwell, who just destroyed us on the bike. I was sweating like bullets. I had my LMNT on board. Thank goodness. 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, 60 milligrams of magnesium. No sugar, no gluten, no artificial ingredients. It is the real deal. Special offer for our listeners. Get the free sample pack so you can try all the different flavors. Head on over to LMNT. Hope I'm saying that right. drinklmnt.com/themove. I'm joined today by JB Hager down there in Austin, Texas.
And I'm not gonna let you gloss over riding with Bottas so quickly.
I know, we'll get to it. Yeah, he's what a good guy. And they came over for dinner last night. So that was a fun. They didn't leave till midnight. So
very cool.
Yeah, super cool guy. And great on the bike. Really strong.
Those guys are fit. Those race drivers are fit.
Yeah, he's fit. They're all fit, but yeah. And then Johan Bernil over there, although it looks like he's sitting in his villa in Italy with that backdrop, unless you just didn't tell us, Johan, that you made a trip out to Italy for the rest day.
No. But I did the background on purpose since today's the rest day. So I thought, no race images or anything. So I found a picture of the.
It looks very peaceful.
Italian
on a rest day, you would want to just lay in that grass field. Nice work. Mr. George Hincapie couldn't be with us today. He is, George is, it's obviously just a great fucking dude. He does. JB, you know more about this program, but he's, I think once or twice a year they take out a bunch of veterans, and George has gotten all into it really fancy. He's got the fancy ski boat, wake surf boat, and he likes to be out there with no shirt on. You see it on his IG, right? But they're taking these vets out and teaching them how to wake surf. I didn't know that was a thing, but his schedule just couldn't do it today, and we wanted to make sure we got this show up today. But what do you know?
I've been lucky to participate in it as well. It's called Operation Wake Surf, and it's there's obviously with a lot of military, there's a lot of trauma, right? And it's a chance to get together and bond and do something away from all of that. And the water itself has a lot of mental health healing properties. So it's getting together, supporting each other, learning something new, and just taking your mind off a lot of stuff. It's a type of therapy, if you will. So
great.
George and Christian, I think, are both doing that today. And I think it included a bike ride too. Sometimes they pair it up with some other activities. So
God, I hope they brought Bobby though. I mean, imagine how sad and jealous he would be.
Break up the trio.
I don't think that's possible. At least he's on the shores, like clapping. Got to be. I mean, it has to be. Hey, before we jump into the week one's action from the Tour of Italy, we have to acknowledge the just indescribable and really unbelievable tragic death of Mariah Wilson, who was tragically killed a few days ago down in our hometown, JB of Austin, Texas. Still a lot of details yet to be shared. But I'd never met Mariah, but boy, you see the amount of sort of condolences and just the reaction to her passing. You, even if you don't know somebody, you're like, okay, this was a very special lady. I mean, it's everybody always says the sort of standard stuff, but this was clear that this touched everybody's heart that was ever around her. In fact, just riding with Valterra yesterday, and Tiffany, who just raced with her 2 weeks ago, didn't know her, but shared a race, shared a start line with her. It just couldn't even talk about it. So our deepest condolences to her friends and family and loved ones. And man, life's short, people. Live it to the fullest. All right, let's talk about the Tour of Italy. It's been, I don't know. I gotta say, I will say this before we get into the details. I've watched more of this Tour of Italy than I've watched of probably any previous one. I've managed, I know y'all don't believe this, but I've managed to catch almost every day the last hour or two. And I find it highly entertaining. I think the Tour of Italy is always kind of an entertaining race. It's not like the Tour where it has the typical roll in after for a week, and then you get to some mountains. Like there's always some action. So, Johan, what stands out for you?
Well, it's been a while, so we call this recap week one, but we're already nine stages in because of the fact that they started in Hungary. But what sticks out is that there's no clear favorite.
I agree.
If you see now the situation after the first big mountain stage on Blockhouse, there are 8 riders within 50-something seconds. And we had a time trial. We had one mountain stage on the Etna, mountaintop finish, and then we had a big mountain stage yesterday. That's quite unique to see so many riders close together. And so I personally think, as we said before the race, yes, Carapaz is the favorite because of his palmares and because of his team, but it proves that he's not that much better, if at all. He's better than some others. And what also stands out, of course, is the loss of Simon Yates yesterday, who was together with Carapaz. They were kind of one level above the other guys. And he surprised on stage 2 by winning that short time trial and basically confirming that he was indeed a big favorite for the overall. And then yesterday he had this really bad day. There's I don't exactly have any confirmation on what happened. He did hurt his knee on stage 4 on the Mount before the Mount Etna on a crash. But I think it's a combination of different factors, and he had a really, really bad day yesterday. So we can forget about him for the GC.
You called that in the preview show, Johan. You put that as something to look at with Simon Yates.
He tends to have the quote. That was always the knock on people going back to our generation. It's like, boy, if they could ever eliminate that one bad day, which of course there's no bogeys in professional cycling, but there's always those guys that. They're going to be there every stage except for one, and that's
in the case of Simon Yates, he is known for that. Although he did when he won the Tour of Spain, he had no bad days. He was flying, but he had lost that Giro d'Italia in the same year with one really bad day on the second to last or third to last day, I think. But more importantly, just before this Giro, he did a 3-day stage race in Spain. Not a high level competition, and he won stage 1 pretty dominantly on a climb, and he won stage 3 also on a climb, like the best rider in the race. And stage 2 he lost 11 minutes. And so I think there's a problem probably with the heat. Yesterday it was really hot also. So obviously that's something that they need to figure out, if they can ever figure it out. I don't know. His team was responding really well to supporting him, and now it looks like Carapaz is, or the only one of those two. But yesterday we saw that these other two guys, Bardet and Mikel Landa, are very equal. If not, personally, I thought that Landa looked a bit better than Carapaz.
But let's just touch on Carapaz for a second, Johan. Were you surprised? He did make a pretty strong attack. I think he expected to get rid of some guys there. Couldn't shake them. Or were you surprised that he actually didn't do better or ride stronger?
Not really. Carapaz is not a guy. He's not known for, except that the time that he won the Giro, he was flying and he was on another level in some of the mountain stages. But he's not known to have stage wins or sensational stage wins on mountaintop finishes. He is more a guy, he has a lot of endurance. He has now the experience. He has the team around him, and he's a fighter. And he keeps going and, really wearing them out. Blockhouse was, and especially yesterday, and there was a lot of wind on that climb. You could see when Richie Porte that yesterday was incredible. The work he did for Carapaz and the damage he did to the other favorites or co-favorites. He was unbelievable. I think he pulled from kilometer 9 to go till kilometer 4 or 3.5 to go. And it was really, really hard. You could see it was single file. And some guys were getting in trouble. Even a co-favorite as Almeida got in trouble. Even the guy who won the stage, Hindley, got dropped at some point. But then, of course, once Richie Porte was done, Carapaz needed to accelerate, even it was only a little bit. And that little bit of acceleration was enough to see the difference between those three guys, Carapaz, Landa, and Bardet, and the others. But they never got a lot of advantage. And I think those three were really quite equal to each other. And also, this is the first big mountain. We're not going to consider the Etna as a decisive climb because it's a climb where you can sit on the wheel and kind of hide a little bit if you feel off a little bit. This was the really big test, 13 kilometers, 9 to 10% with patches at 14%. So, I think these guys are also in doubt. I mean, Lance, you know how it is. That until the first, even if you have the numbers before the tour starts, and even if okay, I'm good, I'm compared. But is this always waiting until you have that confirmation on the road? And I think they were okay. They were going fast, but always thinking, okay, if I attack, I have to pay attention that I don't get caught, and then counterattack, and I don't have it left.
Yeah, and we said in the pre-show. I mean, the Jay Hindley, this kid's tough. He's ridden well at the Tour of Italy in the past. Obviously, got the stage win on Blockhouse after fighting back. I don't know. I mean, these and I always look at these teams. Bora Hansgrohe, who lets Peter Sagan goes and takes the money, takes the 17-person entourage. Even Romain Bardet on a team like DSM, which has lacked a lot of results. I love that. I love seeing these. Bardet. I would. Those two guys. Yeah, I think we gotta, especially if in light of what you said on the preview show, with Bardet's ability, technical ability to go downhill a lot better than a guy like Carapaz. Yeah. Then the Tour of Italy, we've had good weather so far. Boy, we throw in some classic, typical Tour of Italy cold rain. Mm-hmm. It's shit. Yeah,
Bardet is a guy that they have to really pay attention to. Like last year, I remember that day it was really bad weather and Bernal attacked. There was snow on one of the mountains. The only guy who could come close and come back in the downhill a little bit was Bardet. So he's, if it's a bad day, yeah, definitely. I had the impression, though, that, and especially considering the circumstances yesterday, so we had the last climb, of course, and everybody was preparing for that. But there was another climb, the second to last climb, first category climb, and then the downhill. And Mikel Landa had 2 crashes on that downhill. Changed bike, changed shoes, or he finished with 2 different shoes. So he broke one of his shoes. And I saw the pictures. I mean, he went down and he hit his face on the asphalt. I mean, those crashes hurt, and to come back from that physically and mentally, and then be in the front. And in my opinion, of those 3 guys, he looked the most comfortable. Says to me that Landa is in good shape. And I saw an interview today, and his morale obviously went up, because he says maybe this could be the year, even after the bad luck in yesterday's stage and the crash, still being up there on such a difficult climb. And he does have a strong team. He does have a strong team in Bahrain.
Don't you think, reflecting on the spring season where everybody was, getting back together and getting sick, a lot of unknowns, this is not a normal Giro in that regard of not knowing where people are fitness wise. Is that correct? A lot of unknown.
I think that's what, some of the directors I spoke to have told me, but that they don't know who has been sick. There's so many people who have been sick, and then one recovers a lot better of the illness than the other one. So, like for example, a guy like Kelderman, Wilco Kelderman, also a big disappointment yesterday, lost a lot of time. But now I read it also, he had a crash, and he in 2 weeks before the Giro, he also been sick. You don't know, but that's also part of that's part of the game, the strong guys usually don't get sick. That's
staying healthy is half the battle.
Right. When these races get hard and these guys get so lean in preparation for these races, it's easy to get sick. But typically, again, not to keep sort of reminiscing about our time, but you always knew the dudes who were just, skin was paper thin, and you're like, oh, buddy, just wait for the first crosswind. You're gonna get the flu. and it's true. I mean, it sounds silly, but it's completely true.
Yeah.
Hey, can we talk about the old guys for a second? Because we've spent 3 years talking about the young guys and the dominance. Valverde right up there in his final season. Nibali announces it's his final season.
Yep.
And Pozzovivo. We didn't talk about Pozzovivo on JB Squared. I had to look it up. He's 39 right now and looking good.
Yeah, and especially Pozzovivo, 39, and was without a team until February because he was on Quebeca. And so, obviously, the guys who were free on Quebeca and other teams who look for new riders, it's obvious they're going to go for guys in their 20s or, and 30. I mean, for Pozzovivo, it was bad news, and basically they picked him up. I mean, what a transfer for Intermarché, probably have been very, very cheap. And, listen, Pozzovivo is a guy, he's always up there, top 10. But it's remarkable to me. It's like you say, JB, we've been talking about the modern cycling and, the new approach. Everything is measured. Everything is, very, very scheduled. We know Valverde doesn't approach cycling like that. He just goes on group rides with his friends. It's he obviously does the hard work, but in a different way.
I was going to say I'd like to see his friends if that's the extent of his training program. Maybe some of his friends want to get signed in February. Anybody out there that can hang with him?
Yeah, it's amazing. So Nibali disappointed a little bit on the Etna, but yesterday he was good. I mean, he only lost 34 seconds yesterday.
Right.
So don't count out the old shark. He's not probably he lost too much to win, but top 5.
I
wouldn't exclude it.
Yeah, I would double click on that. I think look at the final week of this race, and nobody stands out as, and obviously Carapaz being our big pick. I don't know, something. He's got the great team. He's got all the makings of a victory,
and it's not a divided. I shouldn't say divided. A co-led Ineos. It's all about him.
Oh yeah,
that should work in his favor.
Oh yeah. Our man Mark Cavendish still at the top, wasn't able to. I mean, he looked dominant in that one sprint stage, and then just Demar has just kind of come to the forefront. Caleb Ewan hasn't materialized. Of course, you guys talk about this every day on our new show, Outcomes, which, by the way, I have the index. It's up. You guys are up 205% after just over a week. Pretty damn good.
Oh.
When you dare turn on CNBC and look at the public markets, ouch. And of course, a couple of close calls, right? With oh God, I just spaced his name, Bauke Mollema. I mean, Johan got the intel. I don't know who you got it from. Don't need to say who you got it from, but Bauke Mollema said 100%, I'm going in the break tomorrow. Like, that's just not out there. Bam, he's in the break. Tom Dumoulin, the whole, they obviously got a little outnumbered, and Dumoulin, I thought did a hell of a job for the team. I mean, that was A++ teamwork.
Yeah. But to come back on the sprint stages, Lance. So stage 3 won by Cavendish. It's always, we always see when Cavendish wins a stage early in a Grand Tour, usually he's on a roll and he wins 2 or 3 more.
Yeah, he's a momentum guy.
Yeah. And we saw De Maar actually, coming back in the next 2 stages in a sprint, and a serious candidate now for the points jersey. Although there's strong competition of the ever surprising Girmay. He's amazing, that guy.
He's always right there.
I mean, it's
I'm surprised how he mixes it up in the sprints.
It's difficult to understand if you look at him physically.
Yeah,
look at him
exactly.
Physically.
He looks like a climber.
Okay, this is a climber. This is a climber.
Yeah.
And then you see Cavendish, huge quads. You see De Maar, huge quads.
De Maar looks like Greipel back in the, he's huge.
Caleb Ewan, I mean, he's like a rocket ball. And then you see Girmay, and he is up there with these guys. I mean, and it's not just about positioning
and grinding. Like he's not afraid to put his elbows out, which
he's gotten boxed in a couple times, but up until he was boxed, he was accelerating as well as any of those guys.
Yeah. That's incredible. And, so young and so unexperienced still, compared to these other guys. But so,
and without the big train. I mean, he doesn't have a Morkov or the Lotto train or even the Francis de Joux train. He's a free agent out there, just kind of trying to find the wheels and grind and put the elbows out.
Yeah. So speaking of Morkov, Morkov got sick and had to abandon. So we'll see what that does to Cavendish now.
Well, that's a huge blow.
It is, of course. So Cavendish has 1 stage win. I cannot think that he doesn't want another stage win, at least another one, to strengthen his candidature for. I mean, first of all, he wants to win races, right? Yep. But the news about Cavendish, also the interesting news we learned during this Giro, is that Cavendish wants to ride another year, next year, at least another year, and he has changed agents. Which, as a team manager, you know what that means. That means that he's going to be on the market to other teams. This new agent is shopping around.
Who was he? Was he with?
I don't know. He was with like a.
He wasn't with McQuaid's kid.
No. He was not with Andrew McQuaid. I think he was with some management agency, which is not only active in sports but also with artists in England. So now he's with a specific cycling agent, and so of course there's going to be teams that are interested in Mark Cavendish. So I personally think it's putting Patrick Lefevere a bit under pressure, because I mean, it's not saying Lefevere. It seems to me like it's not an ideal marriage. It's they get along when the interests are common, but Lefevere, he's not ready to just make a huge effort budget-wise to absolutely keep Cavendish. And
let me just call it. So that's fine. He's going to Bora Hansgrohe. Because of the I've never thought about this in my life. But I'm thinking about it now. Because I think Specialized loves this story, and they stuck with Bora despite Sagan's departure. But on Cavendish, that's just my prediction. But it looks to me, as I look through
that's a good point. Good point.
I think look, Specialized Mark Cavendish is valuable off the bike forever. I mean, he's Cav, right? And so a brand like Specialized will want to have that, and I think Specialized historically unlike other manufacturers, sort of stands by their guys forever.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
Well, the other thing with Cav that comes into,
I only see two chances for him right quick. Right. Sorry, JB. I see stage 11, and then I don't see anything here until the very end, maybe 18. I don't, all the other days, he's got to get it on stage 11 if he wants to get it back.
Yeah.
Well, the other factor that comes in with Cav is if they don't take him to the tour, he has this 1-year contract. The story of trying to beat the Merckx record for the Tour de France is a massive amount of publicity for one season.
Yes.
So you think another team would want it just for that reason alone. We need a Tour de France story.
Well, if he goes to a team like Bora, I don't think he has to. I'm assuming he doesn't completely screw off. I don't think he needs to worry too much about getting selected.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what's his name, the Irish guy.
Bennett.
Yeah, Sam Bennett. He's on there, right? But
fair point.
But you know what? I mean, listen, I was kind of not very optimistic about Cav going to the Tour. I would not exclude it that Quickstep and Patrick Lefevere go with two sprinters to the Tour, to this Tour de France, because Alaphilippe is hurt, is recovering. He's most likely going to be ready to race the Tour, but this is a huge setback what he had. This broken ribs, collapsed lungs. I mean, he's training again now, but listen, Patrick Lefevere, he's not stupid. He's not stupid, and he knows.
You say that all the time.
I mean, he's not. I mean, listen, he's been
one day I want you to just talk about somebody like, they're really stupid.
Oh.
No, don't start now. No. Time out.
Are we going to do Are we going to do a podcast series then? Season 1.
We might, we call it Netflix. We might have a whole series on this. Before we continue talking about this and the upcoming week in this Tour of Italy, today's show also brought to you by Athletic Greens. Here's another one. I use it religiously every day, whether or not I'm at home or I'm on the road. I'm not great about eating all the stuff your mama told you to eat, vegetables and fruits and all that stuff that's so good for you. But thank God for Athletic Greens. I don't have to. They came along and created a powder, which with one scoop has 75 high quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens. Take them every morning. And a lot of days I take them in the evening. It's less than $3 a day. It's a game changer. Let's make it easy for you. Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/themove. One more time. That's athleticgreens.com/themove. Last one. Today's show also brought to you by HVMN. Over the years, we've talked about ketones. The ketone phase or fad or phenomenon has not gone away. They are still very, very prevalent in any Peloton you watch. This idea of getting the body into ketosis through ketones is proven. And if you don't have to take it from us, listen to any other human performance or high performance podcast. I'll tell you all about it. Check out this stat. HVMN has fueled 60% of the teams in the Tour de France in recent years. They also just got awarded a $6 million contract from SOCOM for what you could argue is the best athletes in the world, the special forces. 2% increase in athletic endurance or in athletes' endurance, and 15% increase in mean power output after recovery. Pretty amazing. Head on over to hvmn.com/ketone and use the promo code THEMOVE for 10% off. So if there's anything we missed on week 1, chime in, Johan. Otherwise, maybe we can spend a second just previewing a little bit of week 2. And it's not really week 2 because the thing started on Friday. Feels like we're almost halfway.
Yeah. I mean, it is stage 10 tomorrow, right? So
exactly. It's off, and I know you guys wanted to talk about it. The when a tour starts in another country, the added transport day, it changes the dynamics of a race quite a bit.
Well,
right?
Johan had the number. They paid the Tour of Italy $9 million.
$9 million.
By the way, not a penny of that. Not 9 million euros. Not a penny of that goes to all those people that have to get all the entourage there. But money talks, right? And so that's not. We're seeing that more and more.
Yeah, I mean, and this is specifically this season. The Giro, the Tour de France, and the Vuelta all start in different countries. So all these 3 tours will start on a Friday. And they will all have 3 rest days. So basically, now it's not okay. This is the first half of the race, and the second half it's in 3 parts now. First third, second third, third third. That's how they think. They go from rest day to rest day. I mean, I think it changes quite a bit. I mean, logistically, it's just really difficult on the staff. But also, nowadays staff, the teams have grown. They have so much staff. You can. One of the things that I remarked, for example, is in certain stages, certain teams, they don't even go to the feed zone anymore. They have so many people going to different parts, and then on top of that, you can get feed and drinks from the car. That the feed zones are basically becoming, just optional.
Well. But that's because they're all wearing skin suits too. Like, where are you going to put? Remember I mean, we had, I don't know, proper jerseys with pockets, and you could stuff all that stuff in there. Now, look at every single rider. Yeah, that's essentially wearing what looks like a modified skin suit. There's not a lot of places to stuff anything from a big musette. Yeah, absolutely. But I think that's it. We are. I think. After the first big mountain stage, having 8 guys up there, this week will be an interesting week. Oh, one thing we need to talk about is the pink jersey, Juanpe Lopez. Could hang on yesterday on the pink jersey. Obviously, for him, young rider, incredible performance, and it looks like he's about 12 years old.
Yeah, but I mean, there is a possibility that he hangs on for another week.
Yeah, if you're Ineos, if the plan was to for Carapaz to win, that's perfect. Oh yeah, it's great. It's great. It's a dream. And also for the team, for Trek Segafredo, this is a gift from heaven. Having the pink jersey, they lost their chances with their leader Ciccone. He had a bad day yesterday. So, I mean, another week already now he's been 6 days and 5 days or 6 days and 5 days in the pink. I mean, getting another week out of that, let's not forget, Segafredo is an Italian company, and they have a lot of Italian co-sponsors. I mean, if I would be them, I would do, every day extra in the pink jersey is another one, and I mean, of course, for him, he's making himself a name, which is great. And we know what happened to a guy like Thomas Wöckler when, in I don't remember which year it was, in the early 2000s, he got that yellow jersey and he hung on to it for such a long time, and he became a very, very famous French rider.
Lopez, by the way, 24 years old. And if you didn't see post-race, the emotion, he was just gushing tears to be in pink for one day. Yeah. And you guys are talking about him being in there for all these days. It's remarkable.
Right. Yeah. It becomes old hat after a while. Yeah. JB, I think you had some questions. We got
a couple. We'll have a couple, and you can always write to us, the move@wedo.team. This comes from Hank. Hank says, am I misremembering? But didn't all the Grand Tours used to have only one rest day back in the day? If so, has that change had any impact on racing? And of course, that's on the heels of us talking about throwing in a transfer day as well.
Have you done, Lance, do you remember having done a Tour de France or a big tour with one rest day?
I think so.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I
mean, by the way, the Tour de France used to be 5 stages. Okay, 500 kilometers at a time. So let's just establish that there has been a lot of change. But I think the early ones.
I definitely remember early 90s. There was one rest day.
I hate the rest days. I mean, it's nice to have one, but we've mentioned it a lot on here. Once you get going on a 3-week race, I'd rather just keep going. Like it doesn't. Well, I mean, they're always complicated.
Especially also, it depends what kind of stage you have after a rest day.
Exactly.
You know, if you like, okay, tomorrow will be okay for everybody, right? Because it's not going to change anything in GC. But we had these days before where you had to transfer from one place, then all of a sudden you transferred to the Alps, and you had not a rest day, the rest travel day. And then you had the first mountain stage, which was, you never know how the body's going to react. But I think that's also something that the riders nowadays, they have gotten used to it. It's a whole different protocol. I don't think it's that much of a factor. But yeah, I mean, 3 rest days is obviously particular, as we said, to this starting in other countries. Before it was 2, and I do remember it was 1.
Yeah. All right.
Another quick question. You'll get a kick out of this, Lance.
Oh boy.
Hey, big fan of the move. Lance, did you ever consider trying to win the Giro? After your 2003, you were already the 5-time winner club. And after 2004, you had 6 victories. The Tour is clearly the biggest and most important Grand Tour. But wouldn't a Giro win in 2005 have been a more interesting threat than winning a 7th Tour? That's interesting. But that's from Jakob Federer, a Danish fan of your show.
Well, the answer is no. And primarily because we had so many, almost exclusively American sponsors. And man, if you'd have gone to, I guess we could have, the last year of Postal, you could have said, it's the last year, you can kind of do whatever you want. But we were still trying to get a new sponsor for 05, 06, 07, which of course Discovery came in. These sponsors, you say, I'm thinking about winning the Tour of Italy. I'm just going to lay off on the Tour de France. They'd say, like, have you lost your fucking mind? Like, no, you're not. They only know one bike race. And as great and as legendary and as historic as the Tour of Italy is, and as historic as the pink jersey is, they I don't want to say they had no interest, because we won a Tour of Italy, of course, with Salvadelli on Discovery. But that would not have been it. Two. Sorry, my bad. 2. I lose count of all the Grand Tours that you've won, Johan. I can't, it's you got a lot. Okay. But yeah, the big sponsors would have, no.
It's it.
Yeah. And I think actually also, Lance, the back then, and I think still today, there is that assumption that combining the Giro and the Tour is just super, super difficult. It's been proven. There's not many riders who have won the Giro and the Tour. So we were kind of convinced you had to pick one.
Yeah, it's just risky.
Yeah,
it was too risky.
Yeah, it was risky. Yeah,
no, and it's on the heels of this too. To answer his question, he's Danish. They've been seeing all the bike races in the world for a long, long time. Now in the modern streaming world, we're all watching everything. Right. We couldn't do that until the last few years. You would open the paper and you might see a little tiny blurb about the Giro results, the top 10. No description, no nothing, no coverage.
Fair point. I mean, I think, by the way, I think GCN's doing a fantastic job covering this. I mean, you wouldn't, you think you're watching network television. And I watch, Stay On, and I watch the post show with McEwen and this lady Orla, who's got, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but this sock game that this lady brings every day. I mean, it's the first day I was like, damn, it was some like high green socks with high heels. I was like, that's strong. But I was like, maybe it was like St. Patrick's Day, wherever she's from.
That's funny.
Do you notice?
Maybe she lost her suitcase. You could think in the beginning, maybe she lost her suitcase. But no,
this sock game.
It is impressive.
Nope, she continues to bring the heat on the sock game. I gotta, golly, that was, yeah.
Hey, which is better, her sock game or like Bradley Wiggins' tight jeans game?
No, I'm going with Orla's sock game. I don't, that's Orla versus Bradley Wiggins. Come on. I mean, we should stop talking about this at the moment.
I will say this,
or we all get in trouble.
When Wiggins is on the moto, he's doing a good job. They are doing some good coverage.
He is. I've seen some of his stuff where he previews the finishes. He's great. He really is. But I'm still, as great as he is, I'm going with Orla.
Hey, if you want to write to us,
I hope she's listening or watching.
If you want to write to us, the move@wedo.team, we can read one of your questions or comments on next week's weekly recap. And we should have George with us next week.
Yep. George will be back. And check out Outcomes. You folks that like to lay down a little action on any sporting event. These Johan and Spencer are, as the great Jay-Z once said, men lie, women lie, numbers don't.
And also don't forget about the other show. I mean, we have the Move Weekly, but we have La Movida Daily. Since there's a huge interest for Latin America, and JB Squared, JB and I 2 times a week. We are here to talk about the Giro. So there's plenty on offer for our listeners.
La Movida picking up some steam on the YouTube channel, by the way.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, it's about time you guys got off your ass and did it in video.
We found somebody who wants to edit it now. I'm going to leave it at that.
Cool. All right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you, at least this crew plus George. We'll see you in a week.
The next rest day.
The next rest day. All right. See y'all.
Bye.